terrain by hand with a sickle or a scythe. The work was hard and long. McCormick worked in his father's shed for a decade, perfecting his design. The silver of those bars are halfway in color between the creamy white of the right and the black of the boxy building to the left. The trampoline only makes sense right there. It's an example of contextualism, site-specific design, the most common style of architecture in Chicago today. The trampoline was completed in 2009 and designed by Adrian Smith. Adrian Smith also designed the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. This building looks a lot like the Burj Khalifa. If you want to check out the Burj Khalifa online. Now the sun's in our eyes a little bit. Do you see that temple to the far left, to the top left I'm pointing at right now? That temple is called a Tempietto. Tempietto means little temple in Italian. There's a famous little temple in Italy that little temple is modeled after. Why are Chicago architects in the 1920s using elements of European design? Or that big dome and those little temples in the corner, that's another neoclassical style building from 1926. That's the Jewelers Building, built to be a high-tech office building for jewelers. For security reasons, the building was built with an interior car elevator. It was the Jewelers Building after all. So jewelers could drive into the structure with their jewels in their V68. There was nothing tall around here. Area to the right was low-rise industrial. Area to the left was mid-rise office. So you get the best view in Chicago for miles around from those circular rooftops at the very top. The architect Bertrand Goldberg wanted people to be able to walk to their jobs in the Loop, the central business district, here to our left-hand side. Because there was only office or industrial space around here, Bertrand Goldberg built the first mixed-use building in U.S. history to have all the services a residential tenant would need. This building has a marina at the base, restaurants at that level. See that big rectangle to the back? That's a hotel. See these cars? Those are car parking. Valet car parking. Can't be trusted to park your own car. Kind of a dicey situation right there. So, yeah, professionals do that. Above the cars are the actual residential condominiums. There are almost 1,000 residential condo units above those cars. Also on the campus is the House of Blues, a music venue. Inside the building is a bowling alley and a grocery store. So it's a city within a city in there. There's all the services a tenant would need from the era when there were no services at all, right here in downtown Chicago for a residential building. Great temple design. The base of the building has some Greek temple elements. The lobby is Greek temple themed. There's a Greek organ inside that lobby if you want to peek your head in after our tour. So that's an office building from 1992 dressed up as a surreal, dreamlike, ancient Greek temple. We'll talk about that style. Large rectangular windows and the division of the building between the bottom, middle, and top, base, shaft, and capital. All of the oldest First Chicago school buildings are in the Loop. To our left, you see all of them after our tours from the 1880s. Let's leave the First Chicago School now and talk about this gray building on the right. See this gray building on the right? Merchandise Mart. Look how far back it goes back to the right. When built in 1930, the Merchandise Mart was the largest building in the world by square feet. Held that title until the Pentagon was constructed. Used to have its own zip code, used to have its own fire station, still has its own train station. Merchandise Mart on the Brown Line. The building is a great example of a style of architecture popular in the late 20s called Art Deco. The building has three elements of Art Deco we'll see over and over again today. There's a lot of Art Deco we can see on our tour, the meatpacking capital of North America. So, the Google building in the West Loop is a converted cold storage facility. The Google building was defrosted 9 years ago to convert it to the Google building that it is today. Because it was a cold storage facility, the building had no windows or patios. There's nautical themes everywhere. You see those circles, those triangles look like sails. The circles look like portholes. Here we see yeah. Think of these like surreal, dreamlike river cottages. We'll talk about that style called postmodernism later on in our tour. Bridge, Carroll Street Railroad Bridge, 1908. Built in 1908, was the longest and heaviest bridge of its type. They used to come down here on the right-hand side and read the bridge footing on the right. Industrial train would cross right here, cross this bridge, and go through that gap to the left. So that big gap, that's the gap the train would take. 1908 is the age of the bridge. And all the buildings to the left were built later, so they had to wrap around that line back to train line. The train line ran from 1908 to the late 1990s. So even up to the late 90s, the whole area around here was all industrial. You'd never come down here in the late 90s when I was growing up. But in the 90s, fewer and fewer industrial customers were paired really nicely with this older curvy green building to the left to function like the twin curvy gatekeepers of the South Branch. But the city required setback rule. Headed from the front and the back, that building is only 39 feet wide. That's a 39 feet wide skyscraper. The 8th floor becomes the first floor, not enough space for a normal first floor, creating that very distinctive Y shape. To our top right, we'll have a great view of a bunch of fun people having a great time on a boat ride. Feel free to take that photo up there to our top right. You wave at yourself up there. Now, how do you make a 39-foot wide building as a skyscraper? This building has 160,000 gallons of water at the very top across 12 concrete tanks that functions like water in a bucket. Think of water in a bucket. If a bucket with water goes one way, water will slosh in the opposite direction. If my head's the building goes that way, the water will slosh in the opposite direction and help reduce sway. So that's 160,000 gallons of water across 12 tanks that are concrete that function like water in a bucket. We'll see a building later on with 400,000 gallons of water across 6 tanks that function in the same manner, counteract sway due to the wind. See these giant tripod items here on the left-hand side? Bank of America Tower. This building is subject to the same 30-foot setback rule we've talked about before. The idea of this structure was that the office space to the left, office space to the right, and office space to the top would pay for the opera in the middle. Pretty good idea, right? Self-supporting opera. You're not going to have to call anyone, to spam anyone for money with this opera. Well, the largest stage in downtown Chicago. The Art Deco era of the roaring 20s entered the stock market crash of 1929, which is followed by the Great Depression, which is followed by World War II. So there's not a lot of office buildings built between 1929 and this area here on the right. Gateway 1, Gateway 2. This is what a commercial office building looks like in the 60s after a 30-year pause in commercial office building construction. These black boxes in the 60s are $100,000 You Are Here sign. We started on tour on the top right on the main bridge, we're on the top left of the north bridge, and now we're on the south branch with our red engineering. The next and quicker act of Chicago's foundational story is called the elevator. Prior to the invention of modern elevators, buildings were only 6 stories tall, because 6 stories was about as high as anyone wanted to climb. If you go up to the Upper East Side of Manhattan, you see lots of 6-story walk-ups. You don't see 7, 8, or 9-story walk-ups. People say no at 6. In 1854, Elisha Graves Otis stands in front of a large crowd on a high platform. The platform is only suspended by ropes. Elisha has his assistant cut the ropes. The platform falls. The crowd gasps. But, to the audience's surprise, the platform only drops a few inches. Elisha Graves Otis had just demonstrated the first modern elevator safety system. Prior to Elisha's invention, invented right here in Chicago, elevators were very dangerous. People were scared to use them. So Elisha's invention, invented by the Chicago-based Otis Elevator Company, Elisha's invention gives people the confidence to go up and down tall office buildings in elevators. But there's one piece of the puzzle still missing to get us to the first tall features in America were traded there. Stock features, bond features, etc. They moved the data center out of there around 10 years ago, so not much going on inside the Chicago Board of Trade these days. The Chicago Board of Trade is a great example of Art Deco. It has the 3 elements of Art Deco we've seen before. Soaring vertical lines, deep inside windows, and you see setbacks toward the top. The Chicago Board of Trade was the tallest building in Chicago from 1930 until the very unhappy chiefs of fire department. The chief of the fire department wanted the spider dam, and the boards of Eastland disaster. The Eastland was a very unstable vessel. The Eastland had no keel. The keel is a weight under boats at the bottom. The SS Eastland is the worst loss of life in Great Lakes history. During the crisis, workers in the newly built Reed Murdoch building threw all the furniture they could out the windows to help the victims struggling in the water. Still, over 100 years later, the descendants of the victims drop a white wreath into the water right there every 10 a.m. at July 20. Fled Germany in the 30s to come to Chicago to teach architecture at IIT on the south side, along the lakefront. So there are over 60 black boxes like this in Chicago due to Mies van der Rohe's influence in this town. Mies van der Rohe's first black box, age 63, is in Promontory Point, Hyde Park. This is his last black box right here after he died at the age of 81. So his entire Chicago-based famous career is age 63 to age 81. Clock tower is modeled after another clock tower in Seville, Spain, named La Giralda Tower. La Giralda Tower is part of the Seville Cathedral complex in Seville, Spain. That clock tower building is truly the house that chewing gum built. William J. Wrigley started out in life including 2 packs of chewing gum with each can of baking powder that he sold. And his little baking powder startup did not work out, but his chewing gum business did. We know that chewing gum today as Wrigley Juicy Fruit Chewing Gum. This is the Wrigley building, former home of the Mars Wrigley Candy Company. It opened in the 20s, but the Wrigley Company is no longer there. See this gray building to the front right of the Wrigley building? That gray building is Tribune Tower, former home of the Chicago Tribune newspaper. In the 1920s, the Tribune held a contest to design the most beautiful building in the world. Every major architect in the world submitted a design. One major architect was way too busy, so he called his college buddy Raymond to help him out. Raymond had been in and out of jobs his whole life. Raymond had never found success as an architect. Raymond was over 40 years old, and Raymond was designing for the competition. Raymond Hood immediately became the most famous architect of his generation, and Raymond Hood modeled this building after a Gothic cathedral in Normandy, France, the Butter Towers in Milan. Raymond Hood goes on to build the first Art Deco building in America, the American Radiator Building, in 1925 in New York City. That building is converted to condos as of a year ago. See that gold dome to our left? That's on the Intercontinental Hotel today, but was built by the Shriners to be Medina Athletic Club. See that little temple to the left of that gold dome? That temple was built by the Shriners to be a blimp landing dock. See that little turn up there? That little turn? That's a blimp landing dock, but the Shriners called that fad wrong, and no blimps ever ended up landing there. Apple Store on the left-hand side. See that rooftop? That rooftop looks like a floating iPad or floating MacBook Air. See this curvy building here on the right? So with see these curvy white balconies? Aqua Tower. People love this building. I love this building. If I could live anywhere in downtown Chicago, I live right there. 2013, Jeannie Gang is the architect. Jeannie Gang's intent was for those curvy white balconies to resemble, to pair with that blue glass to resemble water cascading down limestone. So Jeannie wanted those white balconies to pair with the blue glass to resemble water cascading down stone. That's something you see in our region, the upper Midwest, along the coast of Lake Michigan. You can call that geological contextualism, geological site-specific design. That's a residential rentals building with a hotel inside as well. There's an awesome rooftop pool. Not on the top, there's a cutout where the pool is. Tons of services in that building for the residential component. Spa, sauna, steam room, whatever. So it's like the residential building is like a hotel, but it's a residential building. The units are super small. The units are super small in all these new rental buildings. See, a 1 bedroom is like 600 square feet, but you get amenities, like tons of amenities. So that's their pitch. Small room, tons of stuff. That's their sales pitch. The same architect, Jeannie Gang, designed this curvy blue building to the front right. See this curvy blue building? St. Regis. See how it curves in and curves out? Does not go up in a straight line. The building is also not clad in one shade of blue, but clad in 6 different shades of blue. that are intended to resemble, by Jeannie Gang, the various shades of blue of the Chicago River and of Lake Michigan. Some more geological contextualism. There's a big box at the bottom of the building. There's a big rectangle we'll see. That big rectangle is the hotel. There's a small hotel at the bottom of the building, so there's a 197-room hotel at the bottom of the building. But above that small hotel is a massive condo structure. There are almost 400 residential condominiums above that hotel. So it's mostly a massive condo building. The way this building works is that all the floors above the 71st come as a whole floor and unfinished. So above floor 71, you buy a whole floor. That's the size of, you buy a whole floor size of the building. That's also a concrete box. And then you have the opportunity of building out your own personalized residential condo. Everything's a little wacky with the St. Regis. Opened up 2020, the COVID year. A very bad time to open up a very high-end hotel and condo building in downtown Chicago. So that building was built 3 years ago, but the hotel just opened up its doors 9 weeks ago to let its first customers in. It's been closed down, mothballed these last 3 years. Finally, there's enough demand to justify the opening of the hotel. And the condo sales are going slow. Condos are still available 3 years later. And the recently sold for $20.2 million. The top 2 floors of the second tallest structure, that's the penthouse. 12,000 square feet, $22 million, 2 floors, with the penthouse in the middle building. Lake Michigan used to stop at Michigan Avenue, 2 bridges behind us. All of the area to the left and to the right is all infill, all reclaimed land from the last 100 years. Area to our left is called Streeterville. Streeterville is named after George Cab Streeter, and I can point you to a statue of Cab Streeter if you want to see what he might have looked like after our tour. If you're not going to see that statue of Streeter, I can kind of tell you what he kind of looks like. How would I describe Streeter? Streeter kind of looks like the Monopoly Man a little bit. He's got a big top hat, big bushy mustache. He's holding a small little dog named Spot that he brought everywhere. George Cab Streeter was a Civil War veteran who beached his boat here on the left-hand side in 1886, one terrible, stormy night when it was just mucky, marshy swamp. George Cab Streeter asked the local landlord if he could just leave his boat there for a few weeks while he worked on some repairs. And the local landlord regretfully said yes. George Cab Streeter declared himself the governor of the independent U.S. District of Lake Michigan and had all his construction buddies dump their construction debris around his boat. Silt formed around that debris, and he created acres and acres of newly created land in this manner. George Cab Streeter sold gullible buyers parcels of the land that he created. Cab Streeter even charged property taxes on the land that he sold. Cab Streeter chased off the authorities with birdshot, and his wife chased off the authorities with boiling water tossed from their boat. Cab Streeter ended up spending a year in Joliet. H. Bush the first, got his wings here during World War II. And coming to you behind us is a great view of downtown Chicago. Feel free to stand up and stretch your legs and take some photos. We'll hang out here, the front door of the Chicago River. Chicago evening, see you down there.